70 years we have waited for this moment. 34 years of my life I have waited for this moment. And Newcastle United have won a trophy. I can't believe it. I can't believe I can say those words. So many fans' first trophy that they've seen in their lifetime. That first. I don't think you understand the history behind this one. This could catapult Newcastle to somewhere we've never seen before. I don't even know what to say. We're going to start with probably the most important person to speak about first. And there's a lot. We're going to go through every player and we're going to speak about their performance and just generally what they've done for the club. But the main man that we have to speak about is Edward John Frank Howe. What a man. What a man. I don't even know what to say about him. 8th of November, guys. Might seem like a random date. 8th of November is when this guy came to Newcastle in the midst of a relegation battle. Dragged us out of that relegation battle in the same year. Qualified for the Champions League. I don't think you understand this. Relegation to Champions League the next year. Transformed the club from top to bottom. The style of play, the morale. He says it in his interviews. I'm trying to change how we think as a club. You know, he hasn't won anything. This is his first trophy. But that's how good of a manager he is. He foresees what is going to have to come. The change we're going to have to need as a club to push to that next level. And he's got us there. He's got us to a trophy. I'm going to say it again and again in this video. If you get sick of it, turn off. This video ain't for you. Turn off. This video is not for you. But belief is what he's instilled in every single one of those players. You see how those players speak about Eddie Howe. How much they say they love him. How much he cares about each and every one of their development as a player. This man has to stay. Sign a contract today. 10 years. I don't even care. He deserves a statue outside that stadium. He'll get it. Whether it's now, in the future. For now, there's no more words that can be said about Eddie Howe. For the purpose of not making this a 10-hour video, I'm going to jump onto the next player. And that is Big Dan Burn. A local Newcastle player that scored the opening goal in this game against Liverpool. I'm going to be the first to say sorry. I think a lot of Newcastle fans know Dan Burn's limitations. You tell him to play out the back, you put him in Barcelona and you'll see him struggle. But to defend the edge of the box, to win your headers, to track those runs in behind at that centre-back position. You know, he played left-back for a long time and you could see he wasn't comfortable there, but he'd done the job for the team. And for now, for him to score that goal on the week where he got called up to England, which again, no one could probably see coming. What a week in this man's life. For him to experience this, to take Newcastle to their first trophy in a lot of people's lifetimes, he deserves the biggest amount of credit. Resilience. You can see why Eddie Howe loves a player like this. He might not start next season. He might not start the season after that. He's done his job. He came in for that short period in that first transfer window, you know, when anyone could have come in, you know, in the midst of a relegation battle. Who would want to come? We're going to speak about another player, but him, Trippier, you know, these players, Bruno, that came in that first transfer window, this is for them. The ones that trusted the vision. And Eddie Howe has delivered that vision, and Big Dan Burn is a big, big part of what we've done over the last few years. Bruno Guimarães. You know, I can speak about all these players in depth, but this man, if you talk about a captain, the emotion that you want from that captain, the passion you want from that captain, the one that will drag you through games, the one that just loves the club inside out. You know, sometimes you see captains, they say the right things, they do the right things. Trippier is probably one of them. You know, he's a great captain, leads in the right way. But when there's someone that brings the emotion of someone like Bruno Guimarães to the club, to the fans, you saw that interview after the game. It was just beyond emotional to watch. You know, seeing how important it was for the fans. He knows. You can tell he knows how important it was for the fans. Not just because he won it for himself, for the fans he did it for. And just an unbelievable performance. You know, the technique he showed in that game. Just the doggedness, the calmness to move that ball away from McAllister, from Gravenberch. Keep the ball safe for Newcastle. Threaten Liverpool as well on occasion. You know, just what a man, what a transfer this was. Trippier, Dan Burn, Bruno Guimarães in that January transfer window was the foundation of what we built yesterday on. For those players to come when they didn't need to come in the midst of a relegation battle, the belief they instilled for the future transfers that will come, the tone and the culture they set with Eddie Howe for the things that will come over the next couple of years, just immense. I don't even know where to go next, but I have to. I think I have to go with Alexander Isak, a fellow Eritrean born, just superstar, living my dream for my club. Even if he goes in the summer, he's done everything that I would want him to do. For him to win a trophy, for him to be the one that brought the trophy to Newcastle, to my club. You can't even write this stuff. Hollywood couldn't write this stuff. It's just insane. The transfer fee that we bought him for, pennies now. Absolute pennies. The most complete striker we probably ever had at the club. You could argue Alan Shearer was the best goal scorer, the most important probably striker we've had at the club. But in terms of completeness, he has absolutely everything. And I think now is the time we have to just enjoy it. Just enjoy him playing. I don't know how long we got him for. Hopefully yesterday keeps him around just another year longer at a minimum. And we have to go on to Kieran Trippier. He didn't have to come. He was already at Atletico. He probably came for more simple reasons about the family, being in England again. But he didn't have to come to Newcastle in the midst of a relegation battle. He could probably waited it out a little bit longer. 6 more months, then get a better move to a club that was probably more on up than we were at that moment in time. But for him to trust the vision, for him to trust Eddie Howe and drag this team through that relegation battle, the leadership skills. If we talk about that performance yesterday, the amount of little knockdown headers back to the goalkeeper, just calm under pressure. Just so calm under pressure. We saw it in the Arsenal game. The big games, he does it. Even the games in between that Arsenal game and this game, he hasn't been that great. But you see him holding his hamstring halfway through that half. My head was in my hands thinking, what the hell are we going to do now? We need trips on this pitch. Whatever they massaged him with, I don't even know what it was, kept him going to the end of that game. And just what a performance from Kieran Trippier. Joelinton. I don't even know what to say about this guy anymore. He's not human. He's not a normal football player. When you think about a football player, you think of set positions, maybe he can play there, a skill set. There's no one like Joelinton. There's no player like Joelinton. I can't even describe him for you. He's just a beast. He does everything to a good level, at a minimum. But the thing that he brings is that fight. Sometimes it sounds corny. They bring fight to a game. But to bring the level of fight, he's a guaranteed yellow in most games. He'll take someone out if he has to. He'll win the ball numerous times. He leads with the press. He's just an absolute animal for this team. I know we speak about developing the squad. Can we improve the technical quality of the squad, the first team? But there's this thing that he brings. You can't buy it. I don't know any other player in the world that has what he has. And that's why that midfield unit works so well. You've got the ball players of Bruno, Tonali, but the likes of Joelinton doing what he does. It's just immeasurable. You can't measure what he does. You can't go to the stats and say, yep, tackles won, interceptions. Yeah, he won a few aerial duels. It's that thing when you have him on your team. You're just in a better place. They're scared of him if he comes close to them. It's just something immeasurable that he brings. Unique. Another immortal who wrote himself into the history books. Where to go next? I think we have to go with Sandro. What that guy went through over the past 2 years. Not being able to fully hit the ground running with the club. We don't have to go into the details. Not being able to play for a whole year. And then coming back. And he's probably just as calm and measured as when he first came into the club. And Tonali's one of those players, if you see the amount of things he snuffs, from that defensive side of the game, on the counter-attack, the amount of times we look like we're open on the transition, and he's the pace to get back in, get goal side of that player, and just delay the attack. It's just immeasurable what that guy's doing at the moment. It's probably going a little bit understated because of the likes of Bruno, Joelinton. We grouped them together. But his individual performance from a defensive side is one of the best defensive number sixes we've seen at the club. The level of talent, again, the level of just scrappiness. When he threw Van Dijk to the ground, it's just, I don't even know what to say about these guys anymore. When he throws Van Dijk to the ground in the 90th, 100th minute, whatever it was, and just goes to the corner, kicks it off one of the players and gets a throw in, and just walks back. That's just his job. He just doesn't get flustered in the slightest. Just another top performance from another top Newcastle player. Probably the biggest debatable position that we thought going into the final. Who would start out of the Bravka and Nick Pope? And I think Eddie Howe just justified everything in that performance in terms of why he picked Nick Pope. And it wasn't that much. We expect Nick Pope just not to be able to kick the ball that well in a game. And still, the long balls up to the strikers and the attacking players was good. You know, we didn't care about playing out from the back, so you didn't have to worry about that. And then you bring out what Nick Pope is best at. It's something that he's probably lost a bit of form in over the last year due to injuries. But that's shot-stopping ability. We can't even emphasize how important that last save was against Curtis Jones. It was about the 78th minute. 78th minute. That goes in 80, 90% of the time. But he makes it look easier than it is. The reaction save, the height of him, the ability to get that strong hand and tip it over. vital in that moment. You know, there's a difference between Liverpool getting that goal in 95th minute of extra time to 78 minutes where they're able to build pressure and there's more of sort of that negative feeling coming in, that sinking feeling that they're going to score a second goal. It's such a vital moment for Nick Pope. Justified the selection and justify the selection for the rest of the season. On to Fabian Schar. What can we say about Fabian Schar? The amount of times he's frustrated us since January. He's so casual because he knows he's so good. He knows he's that good that is just casual with the game. And it's just unbelievable what that guy can do at centre-back when he puts his mind to it and he gets that full focus in a game. Gave absolutely no sniff to Liverpool at all throughout the whole game. To that last minute when a little bit of a transition moment. We'll ignore that. Doesn't matter today. Just what a performance from Schar and Dan Burn together in that back line, along with Trippier bringing that experience. Tino Livramento. We could talk about the tactics. We will talk about tactics probably in another video. But the freedom and the license they gave Tino to just carry the ball up the pitch, probably one of his best qualities. You know, he's probably not going to run in behind as much. He's probably not going to, do too much on the ball. But you let him carry that ball up the pitch, he'll take it 50, 60 yards. And for Salah to be in that position, to exploit that left-hand side was genius from Eddie Howe. To allow Tino just to be that simple out ball and just carry the ball up the pitch. Play little 1-2s with Harvey Barnes and get him behind like they did for the goal. But he's just one of the best 1v1 defenders. He didn't have to do that much defending in this game. But it's the stuff you saw off the ball. You know, if you watch that game back, the ones that they couldn't play that pass to Salah because he just tracked the ball well. He tracked the run well. The ones where he just showed Salah onto the right foot, the left foot, the one that he wanted to, guiding him away from danger. You know, you don't win the tackles, you don't get the interceptions, you don't get the stats, but the accomplished performance that he put in a cup final, all these players showed they have the temperament to play at the highest level. Then we go on to probably the love-hate player of probably all Newcastle generations, which is Jacob Murphy. Lifelong Newcastle fan. Feels like he's living our dreams as much as Dan Burn and the other Newcastle players in the squad. But for him, you know, in that game, the amount of frustrating moments I had watching him, like I do in every game. But we just have to accept it. Because he'll get a goal, he'll get an assist, he'll get a key output from the game. And then that link up. That link up between him and Isak again. And in a probably a more unconventional way, little head down, you know, rising above Robertson so high, controlled header, just unbelievable from Jacob Murphy in that game to get that second goal. Just a beautiful quality of play. And, you know, you just ignore everything after that. You ignore everything you've seen in the game. He's sort of like the Men in Black. You just press that little button and you see, well, Jacob Murphy got an assist and goal. Great game. You forget every single thing that he done in that game. Invaluable member of the squad. You know, we probably will buy a right winger, but to have Jacob Murphy in the squad, dare I say it, is probably still one of the biggest benefits that we'll have next season. Harvey Barnes, you know, I was so happy when Eddie Howe started him at the start of the game. I was so happy because it just adds a positivity. You know, we could have started Joelinton and thought, yeah, let's double up on Salah. But Joelinton's much better in the number 8. I'm happy Eddie Howe didn't unsettle that midfield unit and started positively. You know, before you even start the game, you see the positivity in the mindset of the squad. Yeah, we're going with Barnes. We're going with Barnes, Isak, and Murphy up front. We're going for it. Rather than, you know, we're going with Joelinton left wing, Willett left wing, left centre midfield, dovetailing. Yeah, it's effective. Yeah, it might help Salah, but probably lack a little bit of threat. It just adds a bit more positivity to the whole narrative before you even start the game. And Harvey Barnes had some lovely little sharp touches. He's a threat. We know he probably doesn't have that durable, lasting impact for the whole game in terms of his intensity as Gordon has. In terms of threat and output, he's probably better, if not equal to Anthony Gordon. To Newcastle fans, we've done it. We've done it. I don't even know what to say. I don't know how to describe this moment. I don't know how to describe this feeling. You guys can probably do it better than me in the comments. Let me know what you think of the performance yesterday. Let me know what you think of Eddie Howe and what he's done. How quickly should that statue be up? I'm thinking tomorrow. Let me know what you think down in the comments. But this is history. Newcastle United have won a trophy in our lifetime. And it's down to those players and Eddie Howe. And I'll see you on the next episode of A Game in Two Halves.